kids! I have a question for you. Have you ever wondered why God doesn't just destroy all the evil people in this world? Well, actually, He did once with the flood, but it didn't solve the problem. Do you know why? Because sin is in all of us. And even though the flood destroyed the world because of sin, it didn't destroy sin from the world. No. Even Noah sinned after the flood. If God were to destroy evil completely, every one of us would die too. The only way to destroy sin is by overcoming it, like Jesus did with the help of the Holy Spirit. When we don't choose to follow God every moment of every day, we fall into sin. Let me explain it a little better. During the last 12 episodes, we've studied a lot about people who lived before the flood. Through each of these lessons, we've learned that there are really only two ways to live. We can choose to live for God as Seth and Enoch, or we can choose to live for ourselves, like Cain and Lamech. Today, we'll hear from Noah, a man who found grace in the eyes of God and was considered perfect in his generation. And yet, when the danger of the flood had passed, he fell into sin.
Hello, I'm Noah. My family and I are the only ones who've known this world before and after the flood. God called me to warn the people that the world would be destroyed by water. But He also gave me the plans for building an ark to save anyone who wanted to be saved. The ark was big enough for many people to come on board. It was made of strong gopher wood. That ark was an architectural marvel with one huge door and a window at the top that brought light down to all 3 levels inside. Actually, only the bottom looked like a ship. The top part looked more like a house. Yes, it was a house of salvation ready to carry its passengers through the storm to safety. Oh, I preached for 120 years, but without much success. Well, in the beginning, some listened and believed the message. They even helped us to build the ark. But as time passed and not one drop of rain fell, their faith weakened and they left us. You know, they became even worse than the others who were mocking us. In the end, only my family and I were saved inside the ark. When we were almost finished building, animals and birds suddenly came from everywhere. People were surprised, but their hearts were so hard that not even this could move them to believe. You know what, kids? The people laughed at us the most when God closed the door before any rain had fallen. We waited inside the ark for 6 long days while the people outside mocked us. But suddenly, on the 7th day, the earth was torn apart and water literally shot out of the ground. Rain fell for more than a month and water came out of the ground until everything was flooded. The water rose to more than 20 feet above the highest mountaintops. For 5 months, we tossed like a tiny toy as we rode up one wave and down the other. Finally, things grew calmer and the water began going down. We stayed in the ark for 1 year and 10 days. Can you imagine? When at last God's angel opened the door, the world looked so different. All the beautiful green had been replaced by brown mud, and there were only tiny seedlings starting to grow. After the flood, we began growing food too. Well, like you see in my garden here, with vegetables and fruit trees and a vineyard over there. Maybe you've already heard about what happened in my vineyard. Well, after harvesting the first crop of grapes, I made juice. And then I fell into temptation. I let it ferment and I drank the wine I made from my grapes. I know. I'm so ashamed. I should never have done that. God forgave me, but what happened made me see that I had brought sin with me into this new world.
Oh, what a sad story this is. Drunkenness was one of the sins people were guilty of before the flood. Noah knew firsthand how it caused trouble in families and society. Even though he, a preacher of righteousness, spoke against it before the flood, he was tempted by it after the flood. That's why we can never take our eyes off of Jesus, or we too will fall into sin. Noah fell into sin like Adam did, in a garden by a delicious fruit, because he yielded to his appetite as Adam had instead of obeying God. The Bible gives plenty of warnings about alcohol. It tells us that alcohol causes us to do foolish and sinful things that we should never have done without it. When Noah was drunk, he acted foolishly by taking off all his clothes in the middle of the day. He set a bad example for his children and his grandchildren, and some lost their respect for him. You know, another word for alcohol in English is spirit, which tells us that when we drink alcohol, we allow evil spirits to control our minds. And that is exactly what happened to Noah. Under the influence of alcohol, people fall deeper into sin. In fact, we should never drink, not even a little alcohol. It's true that it was once believed that alcohol is good for your health. However, the latest studies show that just one glass of alcohol a day shrinks your brain. But alcohol can never tempt us if we never taste it once. Jesus never drank alcohol, nor did he encourage others to drink it. He always used plain grape juice instead, including at the wedding in Cana. When Jesus was crucified on the cross, the Roman soldiers offered him cheap alcohol to drink to take away some of his pain. But when Jesus tasted it, he knew it was alcohol and refused to drink it. The Bible warns us that before Jesus comes again, the sins of the antediluvian world, the world before the flood, will be practiced again by most people. And just like the Ark of Noah, God's plan of salvation holds an invitation for everyone to enter by accepting Jesus, which is the only door through which we can be saved. But this door will soon close, and judgment will destroy the wicked world like the rain destroyed the world in the time of Noah. We must remain faithful until the end. And now, dear children, I must say goodbye. Remember the lessons we've learned together here. I hope to see you again. God bless you and goodbye.